Icing on the cake.
Welcome to Brunswick Wekiva Lanes in Apopka, Florida, for the Brunswick Bowling Trials International Showdown to Seoul.
This ESPN event is being brought to you by Budweiser, proud sponsor of the 1988 U.S. Olympic team. This Bud's for you.
For the first time ever, the sport of bowling will be featured in the upcoming Summer Olympic Games as an exhibition sport. Debbie McMullen and Mark Lewis have achieved the dream of every amateur player. They'll be representing their country, the United States, on September 18th in Seoul, South Korea. Hi, everyone. I'm Denny Schreiner, and welcome to Brunswick Wekiva Lanes in Apopka, Florida, for the championship round finals of the pre-Olympic qualifier. Now, aside from the American contingent, players from 12 other countries have qualified for that trip to Seoul, South Korea. Let's take a look at some of the other nations involved in making that historic trip. Representing the American zone, obviously the USA, Argentina, Puerto Rico, and Brazil. And for the ladies, of course, the USA, Canada, Venezuela, and Mexico. Also keep in mind, when this competition started just a year ago, now over 100,000 amateur bowlers from all over the world are trying to make that trip. And of course, on top in the European zone, Great Britain, and also Finland. Tonight's pre-Olympic qualifier is featuring, of course, the champions from all of the FIQ zones. And now, after 31 games of grueling international competition, we've worked our way down to just 6 players, 3 men and 3 women. Let's meet the finalists for tonight's championship round. Starting from the number 3 position, it's Debbie McMullen out of Denver, Colorado. She'll represent the United States. Her opponent in the opening match will be 24-year-old Kimberly Ann Coote of Great Britain. The survivor of that first game will then advance into the title contest against the top seed this week, Gianotti of Perth, Australia. Over in the men's division, Finland's Tapani Peltoa has qualified in the number 3 position on the step ladder, while the current U.S. amateur national champion Mark Lewis of Wichita will start tonight's competition from that runner-up slot, while 36-year-old Kanesumi Mori of Japan has nailed down the number 1 position. And working with me once again this week in Apopka, Florida, is PBA Hall of Famer Dave Davis. And Dave, I know through the years you've had an opportunity to watch the international stars compete, but boy, you're impressed with the crop this week.
Well, the crop this week, as you say, is absolutely impressive. The mental strides and the physical strides that the bowlers have made in the last 10 years, Denny, is unbelievable. They're really challenging the Americans.
All right, let's talk about the Americans. Debbie McMullen qualifies number 3, Mark Lewis number 2. Both of them have to win 2 matches to win the gold medal here. What are their chances?
Well, their chances are excellent. Now, provided that Debbie can get past Miss Coote in the first match, I think she's going to do very well. Mark Lewis, he's mentally ready. I think he'll do it.
Well, before we get to the gold medal matches, the championship matches, we'll have to come back with the opening game, the semifinal in the women's division between Debbie McMullen and also Kimberly Ann Coote. Apopka, Florida. Here's the opening match of our pre-Olympic qualifier between a young lady from the United States, Debbie McMullen, and also a Great Britain representative, Kimberly Ann Coote. And for Debbie McMullen, boy, what an exciting couple of weeks, David.
Oh, absolutely. Especially, Denny, when you think that she was actually the alternate, and because... Not a bad start, huh?
Yeah, because Heather Nelson decided to drop off. Debbie ends up on the team, ends up the number 1 qualifier. And, of course, she's already packed her bags and made those travel arrangements to head to Seoul, South Korea.
That's a long way from here in Wekiva, but I'll tell you, she's anxious to go.
English representative Kimberly Ann. Boy, did she bowl well here in Apopka this week. Right up the track. Well, almost tripping out the 10-pin. Got a little bit of a wiggle out of it. And,
yeah, she also got very fortunate with the 4-7 going out there. A little bit high there.
One of the finer players internationally, and I think that's the thing that's exciting for the bowling fans as well, Dave, an opportunity to watch some of the top amateur players from all over the globe compete here this week.
You know, they may be amateur players, Denny, but as we mentioned earlier, they really throw the ball almost as professionals do. You know, they have the technique. They go straight for their spares. They don't try to hook the ball like most of the pros do now. They do just about everything. By watching the pros for so many years, they've really improved.
Of course, the point we want to make now is that the players that you're seeing on the telecast now have all qualified to go to Seoul, South Korea. So this competition tonight, basically, they're bowling for gold medals here in the pre-Olympic qualifier.
Right. We have the gold medals tonight, but we also have what I would call the mental pressure that you want to put on your opponent. We're going to be bowling in Seoul in a few months. What the heck, if I can beat you by 50 pins now, you're going to remember that a few months down the road.
It's a good point. A little more speed this time, and oh my goodness, that's not exactly what Kimberly Ann was hoping for.
Yeah, I'm not sure that smile was of delight there with the 4, 7, 9, 10.
You can almost see, though, the relief on all the players' faces. You know, they've qualified to go to the Olympics, and the pressure is off a little bit.
Oh, certainly the pressure's off, but still, that gold medal, you know, nobody wants to lose. If you're a competitor, no matter what it's for, you don't want to lose.
Well, the nice thing tonight about tonight's show is I think that the players are going to be fairly loose, and they're going to go for a little bit of everything. Just as I say that. Oh, my, Kimberly Ann almost made an unbelievable split.
Look, absolutely. Look what she does. She throws the 4 behind the 9, and the 9 goes right in front of the 10, and that's just by millimeters that happens. Oh, son of a gun, you.
Run it out a little bit. Wonder what son of a gun sounds like with an English accent.
I'm not sure.
Back to the action now, and once again high in the pocket, and Debbie McMullen, well, luck has been on her side for the last couple of weeks.
Well, you know, when she qualified last week to go to the Olympics, I don't really know if she was crying, her mother was crying, they were hugging, there were a lot of kissing, but you know what? This is one very, very intense and emotional girl.
Of course, with the loss of her father not too long ago, a very difficult period for her, and boy, she has really come bouncing back, and right now she's opened with a double and leads by 14. Well, that's what happens, and her mom looks on and says, all right now, Debbie, if you keep throwing the ball high in the pocket, the 4-9's going to stand. You better make the adjustment.
Well, that's right. And, you know, it's all 3 shots so far have been high. That was probably the best of all 3. And look what happened, the 4-9 split. But now all she has to do is the same thing Kimberly did, just make the 4-9. She doesn't have the 10 to worry about this time.
Well, she converted the 5-9-7 to lock things up to become the top Team USA member to qualify here. Let's see if she can give the old 4-9 a run. Going to stretch it out a little bit and just misses by a fraction. Well, the match now tightens up considerably, though. Keep in mind the men's semifinal coming up in just a couple of minutes. Tapani Peltoa of Finland and Mark Lewis of the United States.
Beautiful shot. You know, they're competitors. There's nothing you can say about it. And I love to watch the amateur player who's not doing this for a living. They're doing it for pride. They're doing it for their country. And I really think it's an exciting event. Clap those hands. Beautiful. That brought her back to within 9 pins, Denny.
Double here, and she takes the lead.
She's got an absolutely beautiful swing. Watch how pretty she swings this ball. Nice and free. Accelerates through.
Shorter backswing, and guess what? The result is I'll just trip that 4 out and take the lead. And so that's what you're supposed to do.
That's exactly right. Look at that trip, that 4-7. Twist the 2-pin in between. Beautiful shot.
Well, guess what? The match is turned around. Kimberly Ann says, yes, I lead by 1. And, well, we'll find out what here in the women's semifinal when we come back in just a moment. The crowd here in Apopka, Florida. Fans have really turned out to watch the international competition this week. Debbie McMullen of Denver, Colorado, trails by a single stick. Her shot now in the 4th.
Little tug again, Denny. A lot of tug.
Well, I don't know if that was an adjustment at the line, but she got away with one.
Well, let's look at all 4 shots. The first and second frames were high. They both struck. The third frame, she 4-9. That's a little bit high, and this one went all the way Brooklyn.
So you would say, in bowling lingo, the classic over-adjustment on the right-hand lane?
I'd say she better over-adjust very soon here. She's going to have a lot of problems.
Left the 4-9 the last trip on lane 15. Championship round pair here, lanes 15 and 16.
You think that the pressure of these games and the amount of games doesn't have some work and tear on your wrist?
Ooh, much better shot on the left-hand lane, leads the solid 4, and both of these players attacking the pocket.
Absolutely. You know, that's the only way you can win. One game match, you lose, you're gone. You got to be aggressive.
And waiting in the wings, the top seed as far as the ladies are concerned, from the country down under, Australia, is Carol Gianotti.
How many hours do you think it is flying time from Australia to here?
To here, I got to believe about, what, 20?
2 weeks, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, 2 weeks hard ride. Depends if the airlines are on time, right? Now with an opportunity for the 3-bagger in the 5th, it's Kimberly Coote.
Good concentration.
Kimberly, the champion of the European zone here this week. Doesn't waste a lot of time, needs a light hit. Oh my, she shakes out the wall shot, and now she's got 3 in a row.
Well, her reaction was unsure, and then pure excitement when the wall shot did go. Look how she accelerates. Look, rips through that ball, keeps the swing on line, a little bit late with the release, and you can see the delay in the roll. And that's therefore the wall shot.
Wow, 4.57 was kind of hanging around there for a moment.
Was.
That would make you nervous. Could lead by 21 if she strikes here now in the 6th.
She threw that one so well, she just stood there watching it.
Well, so many times the players in our country don't realize how many quality bowlers there are all over the world. And right now, Kimberly Ann Coote is putting on a show.
Look how pretty this swing is. She drops the ball to the bottom. Watch the acceleration through the shot. Beautiful shot. Everything in position.
Well, once again, we'll take it on the left-hand side, Debbie McMullen says, with a wry smile as she comes back off the approach. But going to have to throw it better than that.
Well, yeah, she's smiling. She's happy she got away with it. But, you know, inside you've got to be thinking, what am I doing? Where's my swing going? Is it my footwork? Is my body out of position? What's happening to my game here?
Is that swing tightening up a little bit? I mean, when somebody throws a 4-bagger at you, it has a tendency to make you a little nervous.
Well, yeah, it can shorten the span and make the holes feel a little big. Got to get through on line.
Better acceleration here on the left-hand lane. Oh, the 8-pin stood, and then at the last moment it was adios.
Solid 8. Absolutely the best shot she's thrown this time. Now, the 2 good shots she's thrown, she had the 4-9 in the 3rd frame, and she almost got stabbed on the solid 8 there.
I tell you, that's what's so difficult about this game. You can make a perfect shot and get 9 and throw it right out the window and get the X.
That's exactly right.
Trying to make it 5 in a row now.
Not as good, Denny. Not as good.
No. Got a break there, though.
Now, that swing did not go through on line. See, she turned that swing inside the line and mishit the ball at the same time. It just totally kills that shot. Never had a chance to roll up. You can watch the swing from behind her. You can see her handle roll inside the line. See how far left of her head it came. Absolutely no hit on the ball at all. Just kills it.
Well, if the swing goes left, the ball goes right.
That's correct. It's like my golf game. I swing down, the ball goes up.
Right, opposites attract. Moves a little left on the approach. Shoots it from the left side and spares it up nicely.
Yeah, she's a quality player, no question about that.
What a delight. Well, we've had so much fun with the players this week. It's amazing now. I'm speaking, 9 or 10 different languages fluently.
That's about right.
I can say hello in about 9 different languages. Doesn't mean it's right, but I say hello.
Everybody nods. They understand what you're saying. Her dad was the first one that ever took her bowling.
A lot of bowling centers over in England are rated so much over there.
Much better shot, less kill on that ball, all the way through, on line. And that's what the reaction you're supposed to get. Every pin does its job. So, you know, watch the swing go through. Not as far left. Watch the revs pick up right at the end. It'll throw the 5 into the 7. just enough.
A little gang tackling there of the 7, but right now, Debbie McMullen, when we come back, if she strikes, well, she'll tighten this one up considerably, so stay tuned. McMullen out of Denver, Colorado. She steps up now in the 8th, and she's working on a double, but there's no time like the present to keep striking.
Well, no, she's down by 9, so she's got to really get things going here.
This strike, though, puts her back in the lead.
This strike will give her a turkey, and the next strike, a 4-bagger, and really put some pressure out there. A little short, Denny, a little short with that swing. Ooh, she got away with it. High again.
Oh, you used to carry the 6-pin constantly when you played on the national tour. Who are you kidding?
Every now and then I'd get it out, but you can see her pull that ball inside that line. You know, she's trying to keep it in between the 2nd and 3rd arrow. She got it closer to the 3rd arrow, but not enough roll to worry about. Look at that. Beautiful shot. The 2-pin goes to the wall, comes right back. Yes.
That's slow motion, and she still almost ran out of the screen. Boy, this one's been back and forth all the way since the opening frame.
She has a possible 244 with that 4-9. And Kimberly has a possible 243 if they both strike all the way out.
That one's left to target. Well, not the greatest shot in the world, and there you see Debbie dismayed, and Mom looking on and say, all right, you made an errant shot. Now pick up the spare and go down and find out what you can do in the 10th. But she might find the pressure ever mounting, depending on what Kimberly Ann does.
You know, Mom didn't look real confident there.
No. Well, it looked like Debbie just got a little too quick that time. Got a little excited. Goes to the harder surface ball for the cross lane spare. So now her best possible score would be 223. Meanwhile, Kimberly Ann Coote of Great Britain has an opportunity to basically strike out and advance into the women's final.
Well, she does that. She's also a very motivated girl, Denny. She wants to win the World Cup. She wants to represent Great Britain. And she stepped back. One of the people in the audience walked off to the left there and bothered her, and she did exactly what you're supposed to do. Step back, start all over, go through your 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever your steps are. You get you ready to throw the ball.
Depending on what happens, if they do tie, we'll explain the tiebreaker situation.
A little bit firm that time. The last time she pulled that ball up and kind of killed it. This time she just overthrew the shot. I think that's a little bit of anxiety.
So she leaves the bucket on lane 16.
Spare makes it an exactly even game.
Well, we've seen a lot of things this week. Nothing wrong with a tie. We would go back to the 9th and 10th frame roll-off.
Difficult spare, the 2, 4, 5, 8, the bucket. She's happy to make it. Everybody breathes a sigh of relief when they make that.
Boy, look at her giggle when she comes back. She's saying, well, not exactly what I hoped for, but they all went down. Well, we've now bowled through 9 frames, and the competition has been close all week long, and in the women's semifinal, we're dead even.
Well, exactly. You can see they're each working on a spare in the 9th. They both strike out for 223 possibles. Then they go to the 9th and 10th.
Normally, you figure 223 is good enough to win.
That's right. We have a monkey see, monkey do here. Strike right there, Denny, guarantees her one thing. Debbie McMullen must throw a strike on the first ball to at least tie.
And Debbie has responded in such fine fashion over the last couple of weeks, realizing one more time, I've got to rise to the occasion.
That's exactly right. True champions will do it.
That's it. Very decisive player. Both of them.
She's nervous, though. She's very nervous. You could see her finger was shaking when she put him in the ball that time.
Probably just nervous because she's on ESPN for the first time. Good shot, quality shot, leaves the 10-pin. So basically what it comes down to is Debbie McMullen with a double advances. But she must throw a strike on the opening shot just to get an opportunity to bowl in the 11th.
That's providing Kimberly makes this.
That's correct.
Nerves can do a lot of things to your swing.
You're right. Never assume or jump to conclusions. So it's a nice game of 213 for Kimberly Ann Coote. And now the basic story to be told is whether or not Debbie McMullen can double here in the 10th. Got to have the first strike, though. That one's left, going to have to get some help, and it's through the nose. And so Debbie McMullen of Denver, Colorado turns around, shakes her head, and realizes, well, if she is to win a gold medal, it will have to be in Seoul, South Korea. She'll finish up third here in the pre-Olympic qualifier in Apopka. A very proud mother looking on. And well, third place all right for this week, but on September 18th, she's going to want to end up with the gold. Kimberly Ann Coote, of course, will advance now into the women's final against Carol Gianotti of Australia. And Kimberly Ann obviously pleased with the semifinal win. Look at those eyes looking around saying, oh, her hands are shaking, heart trembling. The competition, it's fierce. Just didn't look like Debbie ever got comfortable on the right-hand lane. So she shoots a nice game of 210. But, of course, she will bow out of this one, losing by 3 pins. And now we'll head down to my partner, Dave Davis, who has Kimberly Ann standing by.
Denny, I've got a very nervous Kimberly Ann standing by here. She's shaking like a leaf. How do you feel after throwing those beautiful shots in the 10th?
Much better now it's all over. It was an experience.
You think it was this an experience? Where do you have to bowl for the final goal? That's going to really be an experience, eh?
Yeah, most definitely so.
Denny, I think she's going to be ready. She's nervous, but she's ready.
And, of course, she'll be bowling Carol Gianotti as far as the women's final is concerned. But when we come back here to Apopka, it'll be the men's semifinal. Mark Lewis involved in that one with Tapani Peltoa. Stay tuned. Looked down the lane and saw the old 710.
Oh no.
No mä ajattelin, että nyt mä lähden kyllä vissiin kotiin nukkumaan, ei tästä tule
Dios mío!
Et de toute façon, c'est une boule très mal jouée. Et je pense à, je sais pas quoi. Ça se dit pas devant la télévision.
Oh, dan ben ik echt vreselijk kwaad. Want hoe heb ik zoiets neer kunnen zetten?
Oh, 那就觉得运气很坏。
Well, eye opener, and I'd rather not go to it. I'd rather push the reset button. Perro.
Ay, Dios mío. Burn this center and start to play flute.
The International Showdown, sponsored by Brunswick here in Apopka. We're nearing the end of the semifinal game.
Boy, he can really put some pressure on with a strike. Almost in the gutter that time, Dave. That was really close to going in that time.
And you know, you mentioned when you see that arm swing go a little left, the ball got into the conditioner a little bit early and then sailed right on him. So it does look like he's kind of pointing it, though. Boy, look at the way he tucks that finger under, and he's really got a grip, doesn't he?
Yeah, look how close. The top of the arc, he's got to be on 1 or 1.5 out there.
I wonder how you say trust is a must and finish.
I don't know, but he
Ask
can't
him
be
that.
trusting
Ask him
it.
if he wins. Why don't you?
You think he'll understand what I ask?
David has mentioned if he does have a drawback, it's his inability as far as the spares are concerned, as he misses the 2-8, and boy, that door suddenly swung wide open.
And now, as much as Mark Lewis has been struggling this game, and as much as we thought Tapani had everything lined up pretty good, Mark's only 3 pins behind.
Tapani can shoot 193 if he strikes out. Good look graphically at where we stand. That one goes a little long, and now the 210 remains, and life becoming much more difficult for Tapani.
He's on the half board with this one, Denny. At the top of the arc, look at the shadow, everything. How did the ball stay on the lane? It doesn't look like there's any room left. It's not really anything to joke about. He's got a very difficult 210 here.
Actually got a break that the 8-pin didn't stand. He's going to give it a run from the left-hand side. Oh, my. I thought Dave Davis was going to fall out of the broadcast booth.
Well, I thought he had it all the way on that one. Beautiful shot.
Now 171, the best that he could shoot. So Mark Lewis, ever the opportunist, needs to step in right now and bowl a nice, solid 9th and 10th frame. If he does, he's going to make it to the championship game.
Sitting on the bench, Mark Lewis just turned into a 9-pin leader.
Yep. Open. He likes it.
So you See what he's done there a little bit? Instead of deep inside the third arrow, now he's between the second and third arrow. He's between 10 and 15. He's slowly moving himself to the right.
Well, if he strikes here, he's a winner. Boy, has he made some quality shots over the past couple of weeks. And boy, that's the way the game of bowling is, though. It changes so quickly. You have to be ready at all times to go out and max out on every shot, and you really can't let your opponent get you up or down. You pretty much got to pay attention to your own game. Lewis for the lockup. Oh, no! Checked out that forepin, and Mark Lewis has really come back here in the semifinal game. A little look for his coach, Bob Mills, and Tapani Peltoa is going to finish third this week. Boy, look at that pin off the board. The forepin gone, up and down like a yo-yo, which is where he's been all week long, and here in the title match as well. And so a sigh of relief now as Mark Lewis will represent the United States in the championship game here, the title game and the pre-Olympic qualifier. And should he win that one, he'll already collect his first gold medal, and he's, I'm sure, thinking about more over in Seoul, South Korea. Trying to get lined up now, perhaps. Use a couple of extra shots. The 4-6 jumps up, but doesn't make much difference now. Lewis out of Wichita, Kansas, will advance. Well, there's that argument. Are the women better than the men? Geez, I don't know. The opening game was 213 to 210. The ladies bowled pretty well. Now the guys are out there struggling. We'll have to see what happens in both title matches. So, Mark Lewis with a 177 game that in most cases wouldn't be good enough, but here this evening it certainly was. And we'll be back with more bowling action right after these messages.
Welcome to the National Bowling Hall.
True for you?
Yes, it is, Denny. We have been working on this for about 5 or 6 years, and I guess if I wanted to go back to where it all began, it's about 45 years ago when I was a pin boy in Milwaukee. And I've always believed that the sport of bowling deserved Olympic recognition. And I really feel good. I wouldn't have missed this for anything. And now it's on to Korea, and from there it's on to medal status in 1992. And that's what our expectations are, and I expect that we'll do it.
And we're back in Apopka, Florida for the women's final between Carol Gianotti and Kimberly Ann Coote. And Carol Gianotti of Australia will open things up.
Well, we're going to see one of the premier amateur players in the world today. There's no question about how good Carol is. Great swing, good body position at the follow through, good leg action, and nervous.
Aptly described. This one crosses over, and hey, we take it for granted. We watch the professionals each and every week, and they bowl on television constantly. These players, maybe once in a lifetime, get a chance to bowl on network television.
That's true. Once in a lifetime is exactly right. And some of the pro players only get to bowl once in a lifetime, too. And I'll promise you, no matter how many times you've bowled, the first few shots are tough. You're nervous.
Utilizing the glove to try and take away some of that perspiration. But, boy, you can see the hands of all of our participants probably a little tender at this stage.
Denny, you mentioned that hand. I think when she was putting her hand in the ball, I saw a little bit of blood on that thumb.
Wouldn't surprise me. 31 games here in the last couple of days just to qualify for the championship round. Kimberly Ann advancing past the USA entry, Debbie McMullen in the opening game.
Close match, almost a tie game.
Stretches out, throws it on the other side as well.
Yeah, I had trouble knocking the 6-pin over there.
I have a question.
What's that, sir?
When someone crosses over in the United States, we call it a Brooklyn. What might they call that in Great Britain? Would that be like an Ireland?
An Ireland?
A Liverpool. Or a Liverpool, I guess, probably would be the...
Oh, please. Enough is enough of that.
Thank you. Well, you notice nobody applauded, so that's the last I'll try of that. Cross lane, a little bit of a stick, but Kimberly Ann with the conversion. Both players have spared in the opening frame. Well, you can see her trying to relax a little bit, but I don't think she's going to be able to do that. This one is for the gold medal here. Of course, keep in mind, this is the pre-Olympic qualifier. These players have already advanced to Seoul, South Korea, and they'll be bowling for a gold medal over there on September 18th.
You can see on her blouse there, she's got some shiny little medals there from the different countries that have participated this week that she's collected.
A little more loft and a nice result.
Yeah, I think she's thrilled with that. I don't think even she thought that ball was going to get back to the head pin. Look how far she lofted that thing, almost 15 feet. Absolutely killed the roll, but hit it in the right place. The wall shot, got away with it. 7-8 goes down last.
Oh, what else? Of course it was the strike. This one given a little more room. Maybe going to try and swish the rack. Not quite. Still trying to get lined up on the championship pair.
Yeah, that time she lost the ball a little bit, Denny. I think she may have a problem with that time. You see how she's wiping a little bit?
Had a chance to watch Carol bowl a little bit, as I mentioned, in Helsinki in the FIQ last year, and what a quality player.
Gorgeous swing. Absolutely gorgeous swing. Never gets the swing offline. And there's that infamous chopping of the 2-5, the most difficult spare in the game of bowling.
Again, we see the international players hooking the ball a little more at their spares than do the Americans.
And you think, well, it's only one miss, you know, maybe 1 or 2 misses in this game or 1 or 2 next game. But when they bowl 36 games, how many of those little misses add up? 10 or 12, 15 pins a game. That's a lot in 36 games. Much better shot. Much better quality shot.
Eyebrows are raised as they come back. Solid 10. But the last 2 shots have been pretty good. Don't ever count Carol Gianotti out of any match, though. Kanesumi Mori and Mark Lewis will bowl for the men's final right after this one. It's been a fun week. I know the competition's been difficult, but an opportunity to meet and compete against people from all over the world and share cultures. And as you've mentioned, the pin trading has already gone on this week, and that's part of the fun of it.
Not only the fun, but the intensity of the competition. Let's just think about how many thousands and hundreds of thousands of people tried to qualify to get right here where she's standing, bowling for the gold medal, right this minute. Fortunate there, huh, Denny? Very fortunate. I'm sure she's happy with that result.
You know, one of the other differences between the international and national competition, the ability to have coaches help you all along, and there you see the coaches right behind their players trying to exhort them on and give them a tip here or there. Can't do much for that thumb right now, though.
No, that thumb is definitely bleeding, no question about it. Got to bite the bullet, you know, for the gold medal pre-tournament qualifier here. You've got to get... just bite the bullet and go for it.
Well, it would appear at this point as if Kimberly Ann is having a bit of a problem with sticking on the approach. But thus far, she is clean now through 3 frames, and she trails, or I should say she leads by 13.
Yeah, some of that sticking, too, can be anxiety. You know, you want to make sure you make the spare. You get a little bit up on your toes. You don't stay back on those heels the way you're supposed to when you slide through the shot. And it'll stop you a lot quicker. Do you notice how she does that with her forearm? Her right forearm, she wipes over the thumb hole in the label area of the bowling ball every time she's ready to bowl. She just wipes it with her forearm.
A little different.
Oh, yeah.
Up the track she goes. Oh, the 10-pin finally decides to fall, but the 8-pin decided to stand.
Yeah, that could have been a almost disastrous frame for her. She's got that lead. She doesn't want to lose it or doesn't want to slip back at all, and to leave the 8-10 would have been difficult for her there. Watch the forearm here when she wipes this off. Here we go.
She works as the equivalent of a bank teller at Lloyd's Bank over in England. And
no, I've heard of Lloyd's.
Have you?
Yes. Didn't they insure the Titanic?
Well, she can count. No question about that as she spares up the 8-pin, and she leads by 12 in this one as she mops the brow, because we'll be back back with the women's final right after these messages. Our dignitaries, bowling dignitaries, Arnie Fogel there, Don Hillman, the new BPAA president, Don Adams, also of the ABC, and newly crowned president of the WIBC, Gladys Banker, and next to her, of course,
Helen. What a
Baker.
wonderful woman she is.
Yeah, spent many, many years as president of the WIBC, and well, they're all down here to watch the action this week. Uh-oh, Yankee Doodle there in the right-hand lane, and well, she left a solid 10 in the left-hand lane, so she deserved a break, and she got it in the fourth. Now the question is, does she capitalize and double up in the fifth?
Well, I think that it'll probably loosen her up. You know, it's the butterflies are always going to be there, and you press more and more and more until you start to strike, because that's what you're there for, is to throw strikes. But we'll see. I think she's going to probably loosen up a little bit now, dude.
What about the progress of bowling down in Australia? I know you've spent some time there.
Oh, the progress of bowling in Australia is absolutely marvelous. You know, the first time I went down was about 6 years ago. And it was just different. I don't know how to explain it other than say it was different. Much better shot.
Just a little bit of a wiggle out of the four, but it won't fall.
And they've gone from being different to being some of the most difficult in the international marketplace today to beat. I'm telling you, these people from Australia have learned and worked in the last 6 years, and Carol's obviously a product of that work.
Now a spare up in the fifth for Carol Gianotti. Well, we want to thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule. I know that the last couple of weeks you've been serving double duty.
Yeah, we've just opened a new Don Carter All-Star Lanes down in the West Palm Beach area of Florida, so it's just been a difficult struggle to get everything timed in there, and then also the opportunity to have to do this with you.
Of course, you're the general manager down there, and obviously going to be a very successful center. And boy, while we talk about success, on the opposite end of the spectrum, the 4-6 for Kimberly Ann Coote. And
well, it's cost her the lead. There's no question about it. She had a 12-pin lead. That she loses those 2 pins in count plus the open and another pin in count, and she's going to be maybe 1 or 2 behind here, depending upon what she does. At this point in time, I would not try to make this 4-6. There are times you try to make it and times you don't. This is one of them you don't. Get the pin and sit down. Stay as close as you can.
Dead on the 6. Been bowling now for 8 years total. Kimberly Ann has. Those the British colors there, David?
I don't think those are the British colors, Dennis.
Red, white, and blue, aren't they?
That's right, Union Jack.
Trying to come back, this time on the left-hand lane, needs a little help in the baby split stand. So it's back-to-back splits. However, this one's a little easier to make than the 4-6.
Well, yeah, the baby split, the 3-10, is much easier than the 4-6. But you notice what's happening here is she's starting to get tense. She was loose in the beginning. She's starting to get tense. She's starting to shorten that swing a little bit. And on the other hand, Carol's starting to get a little bit more loose, a little bit more relaxed.
Pins falling in the background off the ball of Kanesumi Mori. Japanese player who's the top seed. Oh, and Kimberly Ann fits it in there nicely and converts the baby split.
Quality shot there, Denny. You know, these gals are really proving that they're pressure players, no question. Look at perfect. Hit each pin, split them in half. There's the reaction.
Crossing over one more time, and so the puzzle of lane 16 is yet to be solved. And yes, how many mistakes does he make each and every show? As we were talking about some of the bowling executives, I referred to Gene Adams, who was with the ABC, as Don Adams. And Gene's a funny guy, but I don't know if he's in Don's category.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think he'll hold it against me. Hopefully he won't.
I don't think he's an agent anyway.
Well, no one's ever missed the 5-pin, but Carol Gianotti just came close.
Well, you know what she had done there, Dennis, is she had moved her angle of the 5-pin being in the pocket area, you can see how close this game is. It's about as close as you can get.
Boy, we were even Steven after 9 frames of the women's semifinal, and Kimberly Ann finally going on to defeat Debbie McMullen 213 to 210 in that one.
Now she's made a move on the approach on both lanes, moving a little bit more to the right. Evidently she doesn't like the reaction she's getting. She's made a move to the right. Earlier roll, an earlier hook too. You can see how much sooner that ball hooked. Very fortunate there. She's got to be thrilled with that one.
5-pin was clipped. There should have been a yellow flag thrown on lane 15. Carol knows it. Muttering to herself, my mates, if they could see me now.
You can see the chairman of the board of Brunswick sitting right behind her when she was leaning on that towel.
Jack Reichert. Of course, Jack never, ever threw a Brooklyn strike in his career.
Jack was an excellent bowler when he was growing up in the Milwaukee area.
More speed. 7-pin goes, 10-pin stands, and Kimberly Ann with a glance back over her shoulder, wishing that perhaps that was an X.
Yeah, that's just a lack of revolution on the ball at the right point in time. We call it the weak 10. It's just the ball does not rev up right where you want to. It's a little bit late in getting its revs going.
Doesn't quite give the 6-pin, second pin from the right, enough oomph to take out the 10.
You see, she kills the ball. She throws the ball dead straight at those 10 pins, and I think that's what most of the international players are really going to have to do, is learn to keep the ball on line and straight at their spares. Keeps them out of trouble. She's 1 pin down. It's time to start throwing strikes.
The men's final, rather, coming up between Kanesumi Mori of Japan and Mark Lewis. This one right here, though, is for the gold as far as the ladies are concerned.
Well, it's a big shot, Denny, because you don't want to lose more count. Got to strike here.
Tried to help it. Is it going to get there? No. The oil, you can see the pattern is carried down a little bit, and a little more of a deflection in the last 15 feet.
That's right. The longer you bowl on a lane, the more the ball tends to carry some of the oil with it, and the further down the lane it goes, and the less roll in the back end there becomes. You have to be aware of all those little things. Any type of little change of the way the ball rolls, the way as soon as it hooks or as late as it hooks, you've got to be really aware of all those little things. Constantly adjusting your game.
Cross lane, the free hand kill shot, the spare in the 8th. So when we come back, we'll have the conclusion here of the women's. And don't go away. It should be a good one.
To put this match out of reach. She's 2 pins ahead. She's working on a strike in the 7th. If she strikes here, Denny, she's going to be 12 ahead going into the 9th frame. If she strikes there, it's almost over.
She's had trouble keeping the ball on the right side of the head pin. More speed. Is it going to set up? Oh, my. What an international shot that was as Kimberly Ann left sitting on the bench right there. What a classic double.
So much more speed going into the pocket this time. Kept the ball in the right side lane. And during the break, she and her coach were talking about something, and I'll bet you that he was telling her she was too slow. She's got to accelerate that shot.
So many times we've talked about it. When the players make it to the championship round, there's that tendency to want to be a little too perfect, and you don't zip the ball and get it on line, and you have to.
Exactly. You can't be careful.
Well, she could take the lead by 22 with a strike here. She likes it. She's running it out, and once again, how about some help? A little tickle there of the 10 at the last moment, but it stands.
Well, she got very unlucky and then almost lucky. That was a big shot. The spare in the 9th frame will give her 155 in the 8th with a spare in the 9th. She can shoot a possible 205. Kimberly has a spare in the 8th, can strike all the way out for 204. So this is an extremely tight match right now.
Been close all week. Nice cover up on the 10. Now the pressure back squarely on the shoulders of 24-year-old Kimberly Ann Coote.
This can be one of the most exciting matches we've ever had. If she gets up and strikes out in the 9th and 10th for that 204, she forces Carol Gianotti to go all the way to win the gold.
Well, she's yet to strike on the right-hand lane, so the odds, I would think, at this point in time would be against her. Let's see if she can muster the courage to make the big shot here. Tried for the shaker, wanted a little help off the wall, and it didn't quite happen.
Well, being 13 pins down, she's still out of the match. Now, you know, that's how close this match is. As you know, you've bowled before, Denny. You've bowled in college and so on, that one shot can make or break any match. She's 13 pins behind. That's nothing. Spare here, strike out for 192. Still forces Carroll to do something in the 10th frame. She's got to mark.
A little extra rosin for the steady hand and the good grip. Bit of a shaky conversion, but it goes as a spare nonetheless.
Well, I'll tell you what, she can make you nervous if you don't want to sit there and watch her go up there when she's shooting those spares. You can see how she got up on that toe? She got way up on the toe.
Extra pat this time.
Notice she did not wipe her ball with her forearm that time. Maybe she needs that extra little pat, as you said.
Better roll speed on this shot. Oh! And Kimberly Ann had given up hope on that strike on the left-hand lane, and yet the 7 pin of the 4 finally got the job done.
Well, if she were going to have any prayer at all, she had to strike out. And you can see she rolled the ball much earlier. Now, this ball, because it rolled earlier, revs up and goes high on her. And watch what happens to the 4-7. Watch this.
Look at that head pin working away.
You know, not only was the crowd watching the replay, but Carol sat there and watched the replay up on the monitors here above us before she got up ready to bowl.
She said, "No, wait a minute. Did that really strike? Let me check the score. I've still got a chance." And now we're in the 11th.
Never seen a bowler watch her own replay before.
Needs some more help. She's got a few words for lane 15, but whatever she said, she either didn't say it loud enough or they just didn't listen.
No, she's just, you know, rolled the ball early. Again, this time went high and she didn't get the breaks. If I were her, I would take the 2 pins. Take the 181 game.
Oh, yeah. And
then hope that that possibly Carroll's going to make a mistake.
That's what she'll need. She'll need an errant shot. Well, 1 is all she gets. So she got to the title match, which is the important thing, and then shoots 180. Now it's a question of whether or not Carol Gianotti can get the job done in the 10th.
Gold medal shot right here.
The 2-4-5, and Carol saunters back. But that puts her in a position where she needs 2 more pins, 2 out of 3, and she wins the gold medal. That would be good enough for 181. Boy, it's come right down to the final shot. Converts, turns around with a nice smile as the top seed, Carol Gianotti of Australia, gets a round of applause from her opponent in that match, Kimberly Ann Coote. And so the gold medal here in the pre-Olympic qualifier in Apopka will be hung around the neck of Carol Gianotti. And one has to wonder if she'll be the favorite, perhaps, to win the gold in Seoul, South Korea. 12 of the finest women amateur players and 12 of the finest men players will be involved in that competition. Of course, the United States will be sending Debbie McMullen out of Denver, Colorado, who finished 3rd this week. So Carol finishes off nicely and strikes as the rest of her mates, as it were, from Australia, her coach and another teammate, and cheered her on to a victory as she stands now with the gold medal. Of course, there's Dave Davis.
Shredded thumb, and she's shaking like a leaf. How do you feel? You're the gold medalist.
Great. Absolutely fantastic. It's been a hard week.
Well, tell us how you feel. Come on. Are you excited?
Very.
Good. What do you think, Denny? Australia's ready for this, champion?
Well, I would think that they probably would be. It might take them a while to find out whether or not she's won. And we'll be back with more right after these messages. Kanesumi Mori and Mark Lewis. Foul that time from Kanesumi. And they will bowl now for the gold medal here in the pre-Olympic qualifier. Mark Lewis, obviously representing the United States, and Mr. Mori from the land of the rising sun. Well, Lewis started running that one out at about 15 feet. I think he had a nice feeling about that opening shot.
In between the games that he bowled on television, he has been over off to the practice pair on 23 and 24, practicing continually.
We have a little dead wood. I would believe that's on lane 16, and obviously the shot cannot be thrown until that's extracted.
You know, Mark Lewis is not feeling well. He's had an upset stomach all morning. I don't think it's the nerves. I think it's absolutely a little bit of flu.
He's probably also fatigued. Last week was a very difficult week, and then jumping over here and having to compete the 31 games heading into this one. It's a lot of pressure, a lot of tension, and you're right. He's done a lot of traveling over the last 6 months.
Yeah, he has.
Which is difficult.
Well, just representing Team USA all over the United States, you know, it's a grueling thing to have to do that much traveling, as you well know.
Oh, I like that bowling attire. A little different.
Chiba City, Japan.
Ever been there?
No, I have not. It's one of the few cities in Japan I think that we've missed on our tours.
Playing inside, gonna need a little help. A wall shot, the 5-pin wiggles, but remains. He looks a bit serious.
Yes, he is. He doesn't speak any English at all. And therefore, I really think, you know, like anybody who's in a country that no one speaks the language, it's very difficult to really be animated and have a great time all by yourself.
He does have an interpreter with him.
But he sure has a great classic style, doesn't he? Nice, beautiful swing, easy delivery. Doesn't overwork the ball. Let the ball do the work. What the heck?
Taking a little extra time, making sure that every shot is basically what he wants.
Deliberate, patient.
He's not going to force anything. Oh, I love the acceleration on that shot.
Yeah, he really lets that swing come through beautifully, and you can see the result. He just blasts a 5 out of there on that shot. And again, there's his coach. See how easy he swings that ball, Denny? Absolutely beautifully the way he goes through that thing. And watch the 5 dissolve. Zoom. He really slaps it out of there.
Yep. Karate chop of the 5.
That's exactly right.
Lewis trying to open up with a double. Nice swing, good projection. And everything looked good except for the end result.
Yeah, I think he was as surprised as everyone else. I really thought that ball was going to roll back beautifully, and it just labored all the way on that lane. And again, we were talking about the ladies and the carry down, the oil carrying down the bowling balls. We've bowled, this is the 4th game now, and a lot of oil is getting down to the back end of that lane. May have to start rolling the ball earlier and earlier on that lane. Don't loft it as far.
Well, with the synthetic lane conditions, instead of the lanes breaking down like they used to in the old days, that oil just continues to move all over the place. You're always on that treasure hunt trying to find the right spot.
Well, it did, you know, and I'm not really sure with the powerful balls that we have nowadays and the way the balls hit those pins and as powerful as the players are, I'm not sure that's not a good thing because, well, you know, once you get a good player lined up like Mark Lewis on one lane, boy, he's going to throw strikes forever. You're constantly aware, constantly looking for that line. Changing speeds, changing rolls, changing hand actions, the way you spin the ball off your hand.
Want to make sure we emphasize that all the players that you've seen here this evening are already ticketed for Seoul, South Korea. This is for the gold medal of the pre-Olympic qualifier.
Earlier roll on that shot. Did you see the difference there? Got the ball off earlier, got it to roll back to the head pin.
All right, you talk about projecting, getting the ball on a lane. Do you want to set the ball a little shorter in this situation?
Yeah, instead of hitting the ball on the upswing when you come through, you can see you hit it on the downswing. In other words, the ball's still at the bottom of the swing, and then you release it. You're still hitting it, though. I mean, it's a very delicate shot. It's something that you have to practice forever to really get it to do it right.
The release point is just a little different than what you would normally have.
Earlier. It's sooner.
Okay.
Mr. Mori is a very deliberate player.
Well, was that a picture-perfect shot?
That's the absolute result of going through his checklist just like he does. You watch him. He gets up there. He pats the ball so many times. He does everything exactly. Watch how beautiful. He drops the ball right there into the swing. Great leg action and accelerates through. Dead solid, and every pin is just gone.
Yeah, it's that old disappearing act.
Can't throw it better than that.
Ooh.
A little emotion there, huh?
Yeah.
See how deliberate he is? He goes to that checklist, looks at his hand, gets things set up right.
Well, he leads by 10, could make it 20 if he strikes here.
Not as good a shot, Denny. See him roll that swing around it?
Looked like he lost it.
Yeah, he on the downswing, I think, was a little bit fast, and it threw the ball off his hand earlier than he wanted to, and as a result, right at the point of release, you tend to wrap your hand around it, and it really kills that roll. Changes balls completely. Goes to the shiny plastic ball. Throw the ball dead straight at those spares.
Left with the 2-4-5 on the left-hand lane.
Uh-oh, we have a problem.
Well, the 5 is gone, but the 2 and 4 remain. So the first open here in the championship game. And right now, Mark Lewis will have an opportunity to come back and perhaps if he doubles up, take the lead in this one. We'll be right back. This could really help the cause here with a double in the 4th as his opponent with an open, missing the 2-4-5. And as we've mentioned, boy, so many people have come here this week. It's such a big week for the sport of bowling.
Well, you can see Arnie Fogel there, who's president of the Brunswick Recreation Centers. Jack Reichert is the chairman of the board of the corporation. And to his left, just leaning forward for a little shot on TV there, Mr. Tom White. He's president of the bowling division. So we've got some heavyweights in the audience today, huh?
Well, I don't think you can say enough about Brunswick Corporation, their involvement, being the sole sponsor of Team USA, the sole corporate sponsor. And I know the players really responded to what's been done for them, and it's just terrific for the sport of bowling. That one breaking through the heart of the head pin, and I think right now Lewis will take the 8.
Right, now sitting through the commercial, I know he was thinking about it because he was swinging his hand while sitting in the chair, kind of working on that little bit earlier release, and you see he got that one too early, rolled up too fast. He'll work it out. It's a great talent with that bowling ball.
All the action taking place at Brunswick Wekiva Lanes in Apopka, Florida. Well, I think that's as deliberate as I've ever seen Mark Lewis on a spare as well. Both these players right now are turning on the concentration.
Well, I don't know. How do you think you'd do if you were going for a gold medal or a silver medal? You know, you'd careful or what?
And there's a good look at Mark's coach, Mr. Bob Mills.
Bob's sitting right behind him in the bowler's area.
Excellent bowler in his own right out of the state of Illinois. Action now in the 5th. Lewis with the Dutch 200 game going. Will he keep it alive? Better not speak too soon. The 6-pin giving him a bit of acid indigestion, but it stands up nevertheless.
Yeah, I think he's happy to be alive. You see he lofts again. He lofts that ball out on that lane and tugs it across the line. You got to keep that swing on line. There's no question about it. No matter what sport it is, tennis, golf, bowling, those swings have to go through on line. You can't just slap at it and hope it goes where you want it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the famous kill shot at the spares we talk about all the time.
Throw it straight and take out all those factors. Also beside him, Roger Tessman. So instrumental in these games. Big week for bowling, and of course September 18th is where all the attention will be focused in Seoul, South Korea at Royal Lanes, right?
Yes, sir.
24 players left in the world shooting for the gold.
Well, are you going over, Denny?
At this point, don't think so.
No?
No, I've got college football. Unless they decide to play somewhere in that neighborhood. This time the week 10 on the right hand.
I can't imagine the Nebraska-Oklahoma game happening in Seoul, Korea.
Good point. You know, I think we need to develop something, though. Bowling in 1988 is an exhibition sport. Not yet a final word on 1992, but I think the dream for everyone involved in the industry is someday to have bowling participated in and competed in as a medal sport, just like the rest of them.
That's right, and I think the way that the people here at Brunswick, and I think the entire industry, everybody in the industry is pushing and working, and I think that is their future objective, is to put bowling as a pure medal sport in the Olympics. And I'll tell you that the way they're going about it and the things that have happened just in the last few years that you and I have seen, I think that there's no question that it'll happen for us.
Bowling will be a medal sport next year in the U.S. Olympic Festival, which will be held in Edmond, Oklahoma, and also the Pan American Games. It will be a medal sport. So progress is being made. I know we all have to be patient, but we're hoping that someday they'll be bowling for the Olympic gold, not as an exhibition sport or demonstration, but for the real thing. 6-pin lead for Lewis.
Slipped on the approach a little bit,
but he makes the adjustment. So Mori with a strike in the 6th, trying to get the hand up. More importantly, we've talked about the players here. There will be 24 competing in Seoul, South Korea. But the two South Koreans have already been seeded into the competition. So basically 22 players have had to qualify internationally.
Right, and of the Asian zone qualifiers here, instead of they have one less because the Korean people are seeded into the finals. The fellow that just missed for the Asian zone was a young gentleman named Warren Stewart from Melbourne, Australia, who's a real talented player, well known internationally now. We got a tight match, Denny. We're 5 pins apart. Mark Lewis holding the lead, just past halfway.
Boy, well, the ladies' final went right down to the final frame, and Carol Gianotti of Australia winning 192 to 180 over Kimberly Ann Coote. Debbie McMullen of the United States with the bronze here this week. Spare up for Lewis in the 6th. He is still clean and clinging to a 5-pin advantage.
Yeah, clinging is exactly the right word. Now, we'll see. This is the lane that he's been closer on than any of them. The left lane, lane 15. In the first frame he struck, the third frame he struck, and the 5th frame is just a little bit high. The 7th frame he's on his favorite lane. Unfortunately, as you can see, he does not get to finish on the lane that he's bowling well on.
He gives it the double pump of the clutch fist, and he's hanging in there.
Look at this ball's a little bit high, I guess you could say. The 2-pin twisting out the 4-7. Watch this reaction. Jump up in the air, slap those hands. Yes. And a big smile. See his coach talking to him.
Key shot, and boy, was it a good one. A double in the 6th and the 7th, and so a leg up now for Kanesumi Mori.
Yeah, he takes from a 5-pin deficit to a 5-pin lead very quickly. But you notice on that shot, Dennis, his entire upper body was cushioned, almost like on springs, the way he uses his legs, and that's exactly what allows that swing to go through. When the upper body's still, it's much easier to keep everything on line.
Deep in concentration.
See, the folks at home should really watch just those little things. Not so much where the ball's going, whether it's striking or not, but what causes the ball to strike? What causes the ball to go higher, to go short into the pocket? Keep that head still all the way up.
To lead by 15 if he strikes. Well, a solid double in the 7th and the 8th, and his coach approvingly looks on. But right now, his prodigy has as he leads by 15, and we'll be back with the conclusion right after this. Himself now trailing by 15. The good news is, though, he's working on a strike.
Well, the good news is he's working on a strike. The bad news is that he has to perform right now. Now, if he does perform, it again reverts back to good news.
Gotta have it. shot that was.
Can't do it better than that when you need it, huh?
Now what he wants to do is fashion an instant replay on the left-hand lane.
You know what I think has happened here? All of a sudden he realizes, you know, he was lackadaisical and kind of loose and having a good time and laughing. He realizes that Mr. Mori is a very serious competitor and that he better start.
Well, it's one thing to be loose, but this is almost like a trial run for perhaps the Olympic gold.
Well, sure. They're trying to intimidate each other right now. You know, when you get to Seoul, Korea, if you've already beaten somebody by 20 or 30 pins, or you've struck out in the 10th frame to beat them by 1 pin, they're going to remember that point.
Trying for 3 in a row. Going to be high. Oh, come on. How about a trip of the 4? And woo-wee. That pin went right around it.
Yeah, dude, that was an excellent shot. You see, he released the ball right where he wanted to that time. I think he might have been a little careful with the speed, but boy, what can you say about a solid 4? You throw it beautifully. Just out on the lane a little bit, about 4 feet out, good heavy roll. You see the ball goes just a smidgen high. It wraps that 2-pin right around.
2-pin with a little acrobatic move around the 4.
Yeah, he just whistled that 4-pin. There's nothing he can do about it. He threw it as well as he wanted to.
Fraction of an inch is the difference between tripping the 4 and leaving the solid 4. Now you see it, now you don't in the 9th. A little encouragement offered by Mark Lewis.
Well, Mark, with that spare in the 9th, gives him 160-78 spare in the 9th. Possible 217. And you can see Mr. Mori can go off the sheet for smooth 243.
Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, it wouldn't surprise me if he did.
No, I don't think it would be out of the realm of possibilities here at all. Really thinks his shot's through.
Wonder if he's visualizing strike.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
Okay.
Goes through that checklist, make sure those feet are set exactly where he wants to. It's a long time to hold that ball, Denny.
Not long enough. Excellent shot, boy. That's what the players from the United States are going to be up against when they get a chance to go to Seoul, South Korea. You know, so many times we get this feeling that we're the best in the world at all these different types of events. Maybe not so.
Right, see how beautifully he throws it. Look how he rips through that ball at the end. He knows he's thrown it perfectly. He knows it's also the shot that's going to lock up the gold medal for him. What he needs here is a spare in the 10th, and he's the winner.
Any mark and decent count, and he'll have the gold here in Apopka.
And I think, you know, I've got a lot of confidence in watching him bowl this week. Whenever he got close to needing spares or strikes, almost always he performed the way he should. And I don't think there's any question about what he's going to do right here.
These two players battled back and forth all week long for the top seed position.
Could be the gold medal. He slipped, Denny.
Oh, my goodness. Ringing 10 and... Woo.
Well, he got it to the pocket, but he didn't throw it as well as he wanted to. You can see he lost his footwork a little bit and cut that swing off. Fortunately, he cut the swing off and didn't hit up on the ball. Now, you watch the last, as he goes to slide right here, it'll start to go off to the left on him, and you can see how he's coming off bounds. See how foot went off to the left? I think he was surprised that it hit the pocket.
And dismayed when he left the solid 10. All he's got to do is spare this up and get 6th, though. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Sticks again. But he's got it, and you can see the big smile on his face as he comes back. And the old heart rate's jumping up a little bit.
Yeah, his coach, you could hear his coach scream something out to him in Japanese. They made the solid 10 there. And they're both smiling now. His coach finally broke a smile there.
Well, now 6 pins, and it's all over for Mark Lewis. At least for this week.
You know, Mark's had a great run, Denny, I'll tell you. Great run.
And that's more than enough. So Kanesumi Mori, a bow and a handshake for Mark Lewis. Captures the gold here in the pre-Olympic qualifier in Apopka and shoots an excellent game of 221.
That was nice. He's resetting that and getting that 3-pin out of there so that Mark can get up and strike out.
Oh, he's an excited player. Clutch performance. Both players putting on a nice show. Lewis, I think, if he carries the 4-pin in the 9th, well, Only one will know whether or not he could have captured the gold here. But I think you're right. I think he's a little disappointed he didn't win, but certainly satisfied with his performance. And it'll be on to Seoul, South Korea to find out perhaps if he'll beat that man for the gold over there. Who knows?
And you know the psyche of what just happened there. Mr. Mori just threw a four-bagger at the end of that game.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, revenge, it's so sweet at times.
Yeah.
Plenty of motivation.
Works both ways, huh? If he fills in the 10th frame, he'll have 206. Mr. Mori at 221, a nice 15-pin win.
The ladies champion, Carol Gianotti. And for the men, Kanesumi Mori. And we'll be back to chat with our 2 gold medalists and wrap things up here from Apopka, Florida. Lewis with his final shot of the week. It's been a good week nonetheless. Mark Lewis ends up with a silver medal. And we'll be back with our champions right after
this. Shoppers from all over the